This is Henk Werner. He started and run the biggest makerspace in Huaqiangbei, Shenzhen called TroubleMaker. In case you don't know, Huaqiangbei is where strangeparts made his iPhone and also happened to be the busiest wholesale market for manufacturers in China. Basically, if you want to build any hardware in China, you have to go to Huaqiangbei. In this video, he will talk about his unrelenting entrepreneurial spirit and his passion for hardware development. And in future videos, he will talk about the necessary role of TroubleMaker in the hardware startup scene. Enjoy! So do you use Mac or PC?
Yeah, I use PC.
Okay.
I have used Mac in the past, a long time ago when there were still when they still had 5 different colors, 5 different tastes. So I had a lime green iMac, and after that the first one with a runnable screen. But after that I found out that I didn't really like the way Apple marketed things. I wanted to have more freedom.
Customization.
And I'm not that technical, so I would probably go for Linux if I would have the technical capacities to do that. But like Windows is a little bit in between.
Yeah, that's a good answer. iPhone or Android?
Also for now Android, because I have all the equipment at home. Like I have an iBook, I have an iPhone, I have an iPad, but it's merely for software testing. It's just to have a tool to check if the apps work. But in my daily use, I'm using a Xiaomi Mix S2 with 256 GB of memory, because I like to store a lot of information on my phone.
Yeah, I use Redmi from Xiaomi as well.
That was the phone before this one.
Yeah.
And I ran out of memory, so I was looking, and this is with the ceramic back. The only thing for me is that this specific model is not sold outside of China, and that means that the operating system is not an international operating system, and that comes with complications if you want to do international work. Like some things are just kind of blocked, and even with VPN things doesn't really work very well. So for my next phone, I'm not against Xiaomi, but I would probably just buy in Hong Kong to make sure it's got an international operating system.
Yeah, I have a friend who bought a Xiaomi, but he bought it from Hong Kong, but he bought a Chinese version in Hong Kong. So he has to go through all the stuff to reinstall the OS and everything. Like 3 days for him before he can find out how to figure out to have normal Android to install. Yeah.
Yes.
What about what do you drink? Tea or coffee?
Usually coffee. But at the moment, the last 2 days I only drink tea.
Oh, why is that?
I starting to feel a little bit like not sick or something, but just things what I think, well, maybe let's just try to not drink coffee for a couple of days and see and sleep more and things like that, and just see if that improves.
So you have been.
If it's tea, then it's buckwheat tea.
Cool. You have that here. Cool.
This one.
Yeah. That's quite healthy, isn't it?
And it's absolutely very tasty, and everybody here loves it. And then we also eat the buckwheat seeds when the tea is finished.
Oh. So after you make tea with it, it still has taste.
Yeah, you can make tea whatever 4 times or something.
Cool.
But I got 2 boys from 5 years old. The seeds don't last 4 times. They either eat it in the first go or in the second one.
Oh, okay. So you have been in Shenzhen for a while, right?
Yeah, it's probably 9 years now.
So, do you prefer WhatsApp or WeChat?
I basically only use WeChat. WhatsApp is fine. There's nothing against. But in China, if you want to send pictures or video, then you need VPN.
Yeah.
I'm not. I think WeChat is more complete. I mean, as a product where you give your users the total user experience, I think WeChat is better.
Yeah, but they have a lot of function in it now. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
all the
they
mini
keep on
apps.
including. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, can you spend some time to talk about your background?
So my background, I grew up as a single kid, and I was very curious. I tend to play at home more than outside, like building model airplanes and spaceships, and playing with the chemistry experiment box, things like that. Then eventually I kind of dropped out of school when I was 16, started to no, not at 16, it was a little bit later, but kind of that was the period that I had some kind of difficult period in my life. Eventually ended up starting a company, sales, just a market sales company. It wasn't really what I am as a person. In the end, later took over a window cleaning company, which is very good for making money actually. But also it's really not what I am as a person, doesn't really fit me. And then I rolled into the LED display business. So one of my customers was the owner of the largest LED screen in Europe. And I became the maintenance engineer. Even though I didn't have a background for that, I understood the system and I was able to repair and service it very, very quickly. So that guy got Bayern Munich as a customer, and he invited me to fly with them to Bayern Munich every 2 weeks or every 1 week to do the maintenance of the LED perimeter on the field of Bayern Munich. So I was running around on the pitch of Bayern Munich every week to keep that system alive. And when they came back, one of the other guys who was there as a partner, he started his own company, and he invited me to be a co-founder of that company. So for the 2 years, we developed our own LED screen, because we found that if you just work with a standard screen, you can't disrupt the market. You don't have any competitive advantage. So we developed a totally new system which has a 35% lower total cost of ownership compared to any other system in the world. And that gave us the ability to break through in the second football league in Holland, which is, they don't have a lot of money, but with our business model, we were able to enter that market and kind of disrupt the LED industry in sports marketing in West Europe. So the company for who I did this became market leader in 2 years' time with that screen. Now, when we had to produce that screen, I had to come to China to do the follow-up at the factory. I had to see if they did everything like we want. And I was supposed to be here for 4 days. And that after 2 days, the factory manager came to me and he said, listen, what you have designed, we have never seen in our life. And if you leave now, you're probably not going to receive what you paid for. So maybe you can stay a little bit longer. So in the end, I stayed here 2 months. I saw the first perimeter system totally come to life. I participated in the manufacturing process myself because I wanted to learn that. 2010.
2010. Okay.
And when the first system was ready, because we bought 8 systems for the whole league, I flew back to Holland and I finished my work and I said, well, thank you very much, but I'm going to move to China. Because in that time that I was here for 2 months, I really fell in love with what's going on here. So it's the people, it's the climate, it's the opportunity, it's the factories. I saw people coming from all over the world to Shenzhen to realize their goals. And that's something what you don't see anywhere else in the world. So Shenzhen was the place to be if you want to be that's what Silicon Valley is in America. So I made up my mind. I packed my bags and then I moved here in May 2011.
And then what do you do? Because I remember right, TroubleMaker was started in 2016, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I came here originally with a job at a factory. I was hired, but 24 hours after I arrived, the factory manager decided to not go ahead with it. So I was already in China for 24 hours and I was told that I don't have a job, and that was basically it.
Wow, that's
no
terrible.
solution. So yeah, that was the first time in my life that I was trying to wake up from a dream for about 10 minutes, that I was actively trying to wake up because this was so surrealistic that it just, that couldn't be happening. It was so unreal that I was really trying to wake up, and I was awake, it was real, so that didn't work. And then came, of course, a little bit nervous, but that didn't last very long because I have been basically self-employed all my life. So, and I've always started from scratch without any funding, without any money really, or very little. So I'm not afraid of starting a company, and I know what it takes to get something off the ground. So I just started to visit factories and become an expert in LED display in China, in Shenzhen mostly. And I started to help people as a consultant who wanted to develop their products. And I did that for a couple of years. Also developed my own products, put them in the market in Europe with some partners. Eventually, all of those initiatives kind of didn't work. So either the products that did work well, our customer base dried up and we were unable to find new markets. And for other products, I just kind of didn't choose the right partners. And I think teamwork is extremely important if you do a startup with the right team members where you really complement each other and trust each other and support each other. If that's missing, then that startup will not work. I mean, I've found out that now several times. So the good thing about it is that I'm able to guide people now in TroubleMaker when they come to me as a team, that I sometimes can help them steer a little bit the direction.
So the right people, the most important part is the right people.
Yeah.
It's very
and
good.
That is very, very, very vague answer. But I think partly the right people is not only that you complement each other in terms of capacity of knowledge, but that you also, that you all have a similar goal in mind, that the noses are really in the same direction and support each other. And I think honesty and sincerity is very important in this as well, because as soon as people stop trust each other in that team where usually nobody earns money yet, then it's very difficult to succeed.
Yeah.